Hi guys, today I'll be talking about different decks and disciplines. So to start off, I'll say there's 5 or so types of decks. First one being basic top mount board, just like this. The trucks are mounted underneath the deck, and the board has no wood bends except for rocker, possibly rocker, and concave. Second thing I'll talk about, drop through decks, and that's when the trucks are mounted through a hole in the top of the deck, so the base plate sits on top of the board, making the board lower to the ground. They often have cutouts in place of wheel wells, right here, so the wheels do not bite on the board. There are also drop decks, such as the Rain Nemesis, or the Spud, or the Lanyard Switch, and those are really popular for free riding, and that's when the trucks are mounted up here, and the deck bends down, and the platforms down there to stand on. And those are generally stabler and slidier than most other boards. Then we have double drop, which is when the board is dropped through and dropped. And an example of that would be the Lanyard Switchblade or the Rain Demon Seed. Those are insanely stable decks, not very turny, but they are really fun for sliding and freeride. And the last category I'm going to talk about is micro drop boards, and those are probably my favorite. And a good example of that would be the Rain Kill Switch, the Nelson Longboard's Top Spin or Spin Drift, or the new Rain Arrival. And that's when it's kind of unclear the definition of a micro drop deck, because what differs it from a drop deck, right? So in my opinion, micro drop deck is when the drop is the same amount or less than the amount of concave in the board. So a Rain Kill Switch would be an example of that. However, a Lanyard Switchblade, for example, would not, because it has a deeper drop than the concave. Alright, so we'll talk about disciplines now. So the first discipline I'm going to talk about is free riding. And free riding is controlled slides to get yourself down the hill in a fun, fashionable way. A lot of people like to use different types of boards for this. Freeriding is really broad. Some people have known to use slalom boards. Really popular trend is freeriding on top mount speed boards. That's actually what I'm doing right now with my freeride wheels on it. A lot of people freeride. Probably the biggest proportion of freeride boards are drop, micro drop, and or drop through, because they lower yourself to the ground more and they allow for easier sliding and less grip. One of the most popular freeride boards, as you guys probably know, is in Lanyard's 9 to 5, and I actually had that board, great board, super fun for freeriding. Or the Comet FSM, nice freeride board also. And that'll bring us to technical sliding, and that's similar to freeride, except it's more focused on less control, moving down the hill, and just more sliding in general. So you'll do technical slides like 360s or nose blunt slides, and often technical sliding boards will be, well, usually under 36 inches. Some of them are above that, but they're usually double kicked and wider than most skateboards, usually around 9 to 10 inches wide. They just look like wider, longer skateboards. The next discipline I'll talk about is downhill, and downhill is probably one of the biggest disciplines in longboarding, and that's getting down a hill as fast as possible. In previous years, people have loved using drop decks or drop throughs for downhill, like Misho Urban broke the speed record with his drop through aluminum board. I know Misho, before he rode his GMR skateboard, he rode the Lanyard's Evo. The Evo was recognized as like one of the best downhill boards in the world, but now courses have become more technical and require more grip and control. So the new trend is top mount speed boards, and they have generally really small wheelbase, usually 31 under, and they focus on more grip, less stability, but a lot more control going across a hill, so you can get those clean turns where you won't drift out. I enjoy top mount speed boards for downhill, as well as micro drops. Micro drops are really nice because you can just kind of get a good amount of control. Like you have more control than a drop through or a drop deck, for example. But you also have the lock in, kind of glued in feet feeling of a drop deck. Next discipline I'll talk about is long distance pushing, and that's or long distance just skating in general. Two different parts of the long distance pushing and long distance pumping. Long distance pumping is you got a certain truck setup to kind of pump yourself when you carve and create momentum. And I don't know many people who do that. It's not as big a discipline as downhill or freeriding, so I don't know much about that. But usually people have narrower trucks, grippier wheels, longer boards, they'll taper in the back, and they have wedging. Long distance pushing, pretty much really low deck. I don't know if you've seen long treks on skate decks with Adam Colton and Paul Kent and people, and they use the Rain Demon Seed, which is a double drop, and that means it's like only about an inch off the ground, whereas top mount's a lot higher off, and that really helps for distance pushing because you can, well, your feet are so close to the ground, you don't have to bend down as much, and that's distance pushing. Another smaller discipline is slalom. Slalom, it's not as popular anymore, but Full Bag makes slalom boards. They're probably recognized as one of the best slalom companies in the world. And that's just the art of going through cones as fast as possible without knocking them down. And slalom decks are usually shorter with a kicktail and concave, short wheelbases, grippy wheels, narrower trucks with wedging and de-wedging. You want a nice turny front for slalom and a nice stable back truck for kind of a dead feeling in the back. The last discipline I'm going to talk about is freestyle and kind of dancing. So if you guys have seen the loaded or original videos, they do a lot of freestyle and dancing, and I think it looks really cool. I actually can't do that many freestyle dancing tricks. I can cross step, but yeah, freestyle dancing is, people usually use kind of a longer board, like a loaded dervish, or a loaded bhangra, or an Adam's Old School Dancer from Longboard Larry. Generally, this is kind of stereotypical longboarding, and it focuses on cross-stepping, shove-its, tiger claws, bonelesses, stuff like that. More kind of street skating tricks and kind of old-fashioned pintail stylish moves like Adam Colton style, man. Right? So that's going to wrap up our deck and discipline clinic. Don't forget to subscribe, like, favorite this video, and if you have a question or comment, leave it in the comment section below. Thanks.